Hello, my name is Richard Gordon. I live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and have taught metaphysics, which is the study of mind and the laws of the mind, and other related subjects for the last 5 years. Scientists tell us that we only use about 10% of our minds. The method that I use for teaching tarot cards will not only help you and your friends by the information you'll get from it, but it will also help you to open up that other 90% of your mind. Before we can really get into the tarot cards and understand how they work and use them, we must first have an understanding of mind. There are 3 major levels of mind. There's the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the superconscious mind. When scientists say that we use only about 10% of our mind, the part of mind that we use almost exclusively is that of the conscious mind. The conscious mind has the tremendous ability of working with logic and reasoning, and in conjunction with the 5 senses. Its limitations, however, are in the areas of space and time. For instance, when we are sitting across the table from one another, we can easily see what is going on. However, you cannot see what was occurring yesterday, and you cannot see what will be occurring tomorrow. That is a limitation in time. There's also a limitation in space. There's only a certain distance through which we can physically see. For instance, you cannot see from here to Peoria, Illinois, but you can easily see someone sitting across the table from you. However, when we move up to the next level of mind, the subconscious mind, we do not have the limitations of space and time. If you believe in reincarnation and past lives, as I do, the subconscious mind is the storehouse of all understood experiences that you've had in all past lifetimes and in the current lifetime. The subconscious mind can just as easily pick up what has occurred to you in the past and lines of probability for the future as it can what's going on right now. Therefore, it transcends the quality of time. It also transcends the quality of space. Just as I mentioned on the conscious mind, we have the limitation of only being able to see a certain distance. That is not true with the subconscious mind. For we can just as easily tune in to what is going on in Paris or the moon as we can what's going on next door. The subconscious mind is a level of mind which we infrequently get in touch with. Most of the time, as I mentioned earlier, we're operating from the conscious mind. However, when we go to sleep, the conscious mind shuts down and we are then operating exclusively from the subconscious mind. When we dream, dreams are coming from the subconscious level of mind. When we have intuitive flashes, those brief periods of time during our waking day, those intuitive flashes are also coming from the subconscious mind. The third major level of mind is that of the superconscious mind. I mentioned that we very briefly get in touch with the subconscious level. We even more infrequently are able to get in touch with the superconscious level. Only those people who have studied for a long time and are very much in tune with themselves are able to operate from the superconscious level of mind. The masters, after they have developed a high degree of attunement, are not only able to get in touch with the superconscious level of mind, but they are able to operate from that level on a day-in and day-out basis. The superconscious mind is that level of mind that is closely in tune with God, with the creation, with the Almighty. It is that portion of mind that contains the seed idea, the perfect plan for our development. As I said, very few people get in touch with this level of mind. Glimpses come very infrequently. By using the techniques that I'm presenting in this video cassette, you will not only be able to help yourself and help others by the readings that you provide, you will also be able to get in touch and tune in to these higher levels of mind, the subconscious mind, and infrequently but occasionally the superconscious mind. I mentioned earlier that dreams come from the subconscious level of mind. Think about the last dream that you had. When you dream in pictures. Pictures are the language of the inner levels of mind. By working with the tarot, we're working with pictures. And as I just mentioned, pictures are the inner language of the mind. These pictures help to trigger a communication between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. For that reason, the tarot deck which you select is critical. Some tarot decks have brilliant pictures with very clear images, and you can use the qualities of these cards to trigger this inner level of communication, to get the intuitive flashes from the subconscious mind so that you can give your client the information that he or she needs. Let me show you my cards. Here we have the Ten of Cups. As you can see, there is a very vivid picture here. You have what appears to be a man and a woman and their children playing, a little red farmhouse in the background, and a stream running through their property, and a beautiful rainbow made up of these 10 cups. In some decks, the 10 of cups would show you only 10 cups. As I mentioned earlier, the language of mind is pictures. If you only have 10 cups to look at, you have nothing to trigger images coming in from the subconscious mind. The cards which I use is the Rider Tarot deck. This deck is made by U.S. Game Systems Incorporated, and I found the pictures to be outstanding. I've looked at several decks, and for me personally, these cards help me the most in giving the best readings. Of course, it's important for you to look around and find the deck that works best for you, but I think you should consider using this deck. I'd like to give you a little bit of background on the tarot cards themselves. Nobody is sure exactly where the tarot cards originated. The current tarot cards that we have are very similar to cards that originated in Europe about 500 years ago. However, the system of thought may go back many thousands of years. As I said, no one knows for sure. The ancients divided the universe into 5 elements, that of spirit, fire, air, water, and earth. The major arcana cards, those 22 cards, represent the quality of spirit. The minor arcana cards are divided into 4 suits. Fire is represented by the wands, air is represented by the swords, water is represented by the cups, and the pentacles represent the element of earth. The major arcana cards represent much more intense energies than are represented by the minor arcana cards. When we have major lessons to learn, frequently the major arcana cards will come up. In the minor arcana cards, the wands also have an element of spirituality. They can also deal with lofty ideas. The swords represent ideas of the mind, the mental creation. Cups represent emotions and relationships, and the pentacles represent the earth plane, money, possession, homes, those qualities. There are 56 cards in the minor arcana. As I mentioned earlier, there are 22 cards in the major arcana, making up a total of 78 cards in the tarot deck. I've already mentioned that the key to working with the tarot cards is to get in touch with the higher levels of mind, that subconscious mind, the superconscious mind, and to allow those pictures to come through. Now the key is, how do you do that? It's so simple, most people don't even believe it. All you do is you just relax. That's the hardest thing you have to do, is just to relax. What you do is you still the mind and you calm the body. And when you do that, the images come through. You go with your first impressions, with the first images, the first thoughts that come through. Almost always your first thoughts are the ones that are correct. Let me give you an example. At one time I was giving a tarot card reading for a very close friend of mine from West Germany. She had been in the United States for about 9 months and was getting ready to go back to West Germany. In her reading, the King of Pentacles came up. I was looking over the King of Pentacles, and immediately my attention went to something that I had never before noticed in the card. If you'll look in the top right corner, there is a castle. Immediately, I thought of West Germany because I knew that there were lots of castles in West Germany. My attention then went to the King of Pentacles, and I instantaneously knew that this card was dealing with her father, who lives in West Germany. Now, if I had gone to a book and looked up the meaning of the King of Pentacles, I would not have gotten this interpretation. But I knew that the interpretation that I got was correct. I had never, to that point, used that interpretation for the card, and I have never since used that interpretation. This is the key in reading the tarot cards, is that you know what the card means. Trust yourself. You truly do know what all the cards mean. Your subconscious mind knows, and if you relax, the pictures will come through. It's no more difficult than that. But what, you might ask, do you do if, after having pulled the card out, you have no impressions that come to mind initially? Well, for instance, with the Nine of Wands, which you're now looking at, you can describe the suit. The suit of this card is Wands. The quality of Wands deals with spirituality, with lofty ideas, and similar qualities. That's the first thing you can do. If still nothing comes to mind, then you can go through and describe the card. Here we have a man standing with his head bandaged, holding a wand. It looks as if this man has been in a battle. Notice all the wands behind him. It looks as if these wands are protecting him, and he's looking forward, prepared to go forth and possibly to do battle again. If after this you still have no impression of what the card may represent to your client, then you go to the third step. You start looking around for specific details. Your attention might be drawn to the green shoes. Perhaps there is some significance to the green shoes. If this does not work, then you sit back, take a deep breath, and just relax. Touch the card. Use the science of psychometry. For your client or you have shuffled these cards with the intention of getting an outstanding reading, something that the client can take home with them and use. In doing so, the contact with the cards actually puts vibrations on the cards. You can close your eyes and touch the card and see what images come to mind. If this fourth step doesn't work, then you can go to the fifth step. Simply say, I'm not picking up anything about this card right now. Let's go on through the rest of the reading, and perhaps we will make some sense out of this card based upon the pattern of the other cards. Many times you can pass a card, and while looking at other cards, an image or a thought will pop into your head, and you'll know that it's dealing with the card that you've already passed. And it will make sense. Again, what you've done is you've released the picture, you have relaxed, and you've allowed the thoughts to come through. So these are the 5 steps. If a picture does not come to mind immediately as to what a card means. Also take into consideration that from time to time you won't pick up any pictures from the cards simply because your client is blocking the information. Remember that what's going on here is you are receiving messages from his subconscious mind. And if that person does not want you to pick up something, if they are scared of something that may come up in the reading, then that cycle of thought is broken, and you won't be able to pick up any pictures. So there may be times when you are not the one who is causing the information not to flow. Sometimes it's the client that's causing this to occur. While giving a reading, it's most important to be aware of what your client is doing. Keep an eye on his body language. That will tell you a lot. For instance, you may notice that all of a sudden your client's beginning to lean forward and is a little more attentive. In most cases, that's an indication that you're hitting right on, that you're getting the information that you need. However, don't let this be the only indication. As I mentioned earlier, the client may not be ready to hear some of the information that will be presented, and you may go through a whole reading and the client will totally and completely disagree with everything that you've said. I've had this occur before. And at times, a week or two later, the client will call back and he'll say, "Richard, you know what? You were right. I listened to the cassette of the reading, I looked over the information, and I realized that what you said was right." So sometimes you can be more in touch with what's going on than the client himself, because he doesn't want to see this information all the time. Since you're just now beginning to work with the tarot cards, I have several recommendations for you. First of all, go out and buy a spiral notebook and allocate one page of the notebook for each of the 78 cards. As you work with the tarot cards and study them and develop different meanings of each of the cards, and again, these are your meanings, your interpretations, write them down. When you are in the course of a reading and you are stumped by a card, you can always turn to that page in your spiral notebook and see what that card has meant to you in the past. This is far better than going to someone else's book and looking at what their interpretations are. If you'll notice, when you go into a metaphysical bookstore and pull out several different books on tarot cards, each book has a different meaning for each card. Obviously, the meaning is not in the cards, the meaning is in your interpretation. This is absolutely essential. Another recommendation is that as you are giving a reading, record it. Record it onto a cassette. Two purposes behind this. You can listen over the reading and get some pointers on how to improve, and also look back at that reading at a later date and see what you picked up, see what's changed, see what has actually come to pass, and see how well it fit in with the reading that you gave. The second reason for this is that you can go through and give this cassette to someone else, the person that you've given the reading to, and they can keep it for a long period of time. They can do the same thing, see how things have worked out with time, and they can also go back and have a much clearer recall of the reading. When you're sitting down and receiving a reading, sometimes you can get real hazy about what's going on, and you don't really recall exactly what information was given. A lot of times barriers come up. When that happens, it's important to have that cassette at a later date so that you can go back and listen to what was said and truly get the meaning out of it. These are two very important steps for someone who is just starting to read the tarot cards. Anytime you're giving a reading, it's important to know that the future is never set. All you're looking at with the tarot cards are lines of probability. What you've done in the past and what you're currently doing determine what future you will have. If you get a reading that you like, that means it's important for you to continue to work in the direction you're going to get what you want. If you sit back, it's not going to come to pass. At the same time, if you get a reading which you aren't real pleased about, perhaps there are some warnings, some dangers that can come up in the future, then you can look at the causes behind the reading and change the causes, thereby changing what your future is going to be. If we did not have this ability to change our own course and our own destiny, there would be no reason to have tarot card readings. If everything was predetermined, I would not want to know what's coming up in the future. I'd rather just let it happen. But since we can change our future and what can come to pass, the tarot cards are of great benefit. There are many times that I've received warnings in the tarot cards, looked at how I was causing this to come to pass, made changes, put forth another spread of tarot cards, and I had a completely different outcome. And the future worked out great. And now I'm going to discuss the 22 cards in the major arcana. Also going to discuss their numerological significance and also their astrological significance. Remember that these are interpretations that I have come up with that have worked for me. Not only may you get an impression other than the impression that I get when I discuss one of these cards, you must also determine whether the client that you're reading for is using this aspect in balance, or whether the card coming up is indicating that the aspect represented is not being used. In other words, one of two meanings can come up. It can be an indication that the person is doing real well in this area, or that they need to place attention upon this area. But the bottom line is, recognize that these are meanings that are significant for me, have been significant for me in the past. You may get a completely different picture. The only reason that I'm going through the 22 cards of the major arcana and then the 56 cards of the minor arcana is to give you a starting point, somewhere that you can start to work from. And then you'll be able to branch out on your own, and when you see the card instantaneously, you will know what it means for you at that time. The first card of the major arcana deck is that of the Fool. It represents the planet Uranus, and numerologically, 0. 0 is complete in and of itself. The quality of the Fool card is that of eternal youth. This is the joyousness that we should always have. If you notice, the sun, the rose, and the dog are all white. The white sun does not represent the physical sun. It represents the internal light, the light of awareness. If you'll notice, this man has one more step in front of him before he steps into the abyss. This is the quality that we should always have, where we're focusing our attention upon the next step that's going to take place. We truly do not know all the steps along the path, and the best thing to do is to fully experience each step along the way. That is the quality of the Fool card. The next card of the major arcana is that of the Magician. Astrologically, it represents the planet Mercury, and the number associated with this card is 1. If you will notice, the Magician is holding a white rod in his right hand and is pointing the index finger of his left hand. What he's doing is channeling the power from above to one specific point. In front of him on the table are all the elements: wands, pentacles, cups, and swords. The quality of this card is concentration and creation, for through concentration and creation you are able to cause manifestation. But this can only be done if the attention and the energy is focused at one specific point. This the Magician is doing. The next card of the major arcana is that of the Priestess. Astrologically, she represents the moon, and numerologically, the number 2. The quality of the High Priestess is that of reflection. Just like the moon, it reflects the light of the sun. This is dealing with the quality of the subconscious mind, and is dealing with the hidden inner powers, bringing out these magical, mystical powers and bringing them forth into manifestation. The next card is that of the Empress. Astrologically, she represents the planet Venus, and numerologically, the power of the number 3. 3 is dealing with the power of multiplication and abundance, and so is this card. Look at the beautiful gown she's wearing, the stars in her hair, the waterfall in the background, the wheat in the foreground, and also the greenery, the trees behind her. This is a card of tremendous abundance. The next card is that of the Emperor. Astrologically, he represents the sign Aries. Numerologically, the number 4. The number 4 is dealing with a great deal of stability. Look at the chair that the Emperor is sitting in. It looks as if it's concrete. The quality of the Emperor is that of order, the ability to see what is real, the quality of leadership. People who are scientifically minded, engineers for instance, could be represented by this card, for it's dealing with a great deal of understandings in working with the conscious mind, working with logic and reasoning. The next card is that of the Hierophant, astrologically representing the sign Taurus, numerologically representing the number 5. 5 is dealing with the quality of growth and illumination. This card is representing the inner master, the inner teacher, those highly spiritual qualities that we have within. Notice that the Hierophant is standing on a cube. A cube represents truth. See the keys on the cube. This card represents having the keys to understanding truth. Later on we will come in contact with another card and you'll see how the significance of the cube fits in with that card. The next card is that of the Lovers. Astrologically, this card represents the sign of Gemini. Numerologically, the number 6. 6 is dealing with the quality of service. Remember earlier we talked about the 3 levels of mind, subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. Here you have all 3 aspects represented. The man represents the conscious mind, who's looking to the woman, representing subconscious mind. And if you'll notice, she's looking up to the angel, representing superconscious mind. And that's the way of alignment. You must first align the conscious and the subconscious minds before there can be an alignment with the superconscious mind. This card is dealing with the quality of inner communication with the alignment of the self. The next card is that of the Chariot. Astrologically, the Chariot represents the sign Cancer. The quality of the number 7 is that of spirituality. If you will notice here, the charioteer has no physical reins. The chariot is driven by the power of the mind. Therefore, this card is dealing with spirituality and high degrees of motivation. Quite frequently, this card comes up when there is an opportunity that is appearing. When the opportunities appear, it's time to take advantage of them. The next card is that of Strength, astrologically representing the sign of Leo. Numerologically, the 8 represents just that, strength, inner strength and power. And that's what this card is dealing with. If you will notice, the woman is taming the lion. This lion is very, very powerful and could easily consume her. Working with that image, you can see the importance of using receptivity and working with the very powerful forces within. The lion can represent working with the power of Kundalini energy to cause this to rise, and to rise with direction and in the proper manner. Receptivity must be used and the power of the mind to direct this power to go forward. The next card is that of the Hermit, astrologically representing the sign Virgo. Numerologically, 9 represents completion. If you will look at the color of the Hermit's gown, you'll see that it's gray. The colors in each of these cards have significance. Gray represents a blending of white and black in balance. Therefore, the blending of good and evil and positive and negative. This represents that the hermit has reached a point of evolution where he no longer sees things as being either good or bad. He simply recognizes that they are and works with all the opportunities he has. If you'll notice, he's standing on the top of a mountain. There's a very small space there, just enough room for him. And he's holding a light, shining it down for other people so that they can climb to the top of their mountains. He knows that the mountains that they have to climb are different from his, but because his level of awareness and evolution, he's there to help them. The next card is that of the Wheel of Fortune, astrologically representing the planet Jupiter. numerologically representing the number 10. 10 is a 1 with a 0 behind it. Therefore, dealing with the qualities of 1, the 0 behind it adding the quality of understanding. So this is dealing with creation with understanding. If you'll notice, you have a snake turning into a jackal, turning into a sphinx. You're dealing with a cycle of growth and evolution. And that's what the quality of this card is, that of evolution and of expansiveness. Also dealing with the cycle of cause and effect. The next card is that of justice, astrologically representing the sign Libra, numerologically the number 11. The quality of this card is of divine justice, of balance, the importance of not going to extremes. Notice the scales in the left hand, representing balance. The sword in the right hand, representing divine justice. Justice will be done in all cases. If you have wronged someone, then it will come back to haunt you, either this lifetime or in a future lifetime. When you do good works for others, again, this will come back to you, and people will be good to you and help you, this lifetime and in future lifetimes. The next card is that of the Hanged Man, astrologically representing the planet Neptune, numerologically representing the number 12. The quality of the Hanged Man is of the person who is going their own way, doing what they know to be best. Notice the halo around the head. Look at the face. Look at the contentedness, the inner confidence. For even though everyone else may feel that the person represented by the quality of this card is crazy, they know that what they're doing is what they need to do. They're marching to the sound of their own inner drummer. The next card is the Death card, astrologically representing the sign Scorpio, numerologically the number 13. Many people are scared when this card comes up. They needn't be. For all this card represents is major change, and truly to grow and evolve we must have major change. If you'll notice, there is a bishop on the ground and there is one standing. We are moving from the period of Pisces into the period or the age of Aquarius. Here you have the Piscean bishop lying on the ground dead. The death of that period is come and gone. Coming into the period of Aquarius, represented by the bishop here. If you'll notice, the sun is rising in the background. Truly, this is a very positive card. The next card is that of Temperance, astrologically representing the sign Sagittarius, numerologically the number 14. This card is also dealing with the quality of balance. Notice the right foot in the water, the left foot on the bank. Here, the mixing of the wine and the water, or some people view this as the mixing of water and fire. It's the quality of bringing things into balance and not going to extremes. When doing this, when working in balance, you are working with the inner knowing from within. You're working with your own creativity and intuition. And therefore, this is a higher level of balance than is represented by the card of Justice. The next 7 cards represent the 7 steps required for anyone to achieve spiritual enlightenment. The first card of those 7 is that of the Devil. Astrologically, he represents the sign Capricorn, and numerologically, the quality of the number 15. Remember when we were looking at the Hierophant, he was standing on a cube, and that represented truth. See that the Devil is standing on half a cube, therefore half-truths. Look at the body of the devil. He has bat wings and eagle claws, donkey ears and ram's horns. Each one of those qualities in and of itself is accurate, but there is no beast that represents all of these aspects put together in one. The quality of this card is that of a lack of balance, lack of proper perspective, involved too much in earthly things and not in spiritual things. Notice that the chains around these people's necks are very loose. They can easily be taken off. Many times this card will come up when someone has an inferiority complex or when there is gossip. Again, there's an element of truth to make it look as if the whole picture is accurate, but it's not. Truly, the despair that comes from this state is silly because it initiates action within us. It causes us to get moving so that we can go forth into the next step of spiritual enlightenment. That being the card represented by the tower. The tower astrologically represents the sign Mars, numerologically representing the number 16. This is the lightning-struck tower. This is where our foundation is shaken to the very core. Some experience comes to pass and completely changes all of our beliefs. This can be very good. For instance, if we are in the state of represented by the devil card, when this occurs, we recognize that we do not see the whole picture, that we do not recognize the total truth. To make these internal changes, we must change the way we look at things. So this quality is very, very good. A born-again Christian has an experience which can be represented by the tower. This is not the only experience that can be represented by the tower, but it is one of many. Again, it represents a very major change that's taking place. The next card is that of the star. Astrologically, representing the sign Aquarius, and numerologically representing the number 17. If you will notice, the person in this card is totally naked. There is a total and complete acceptance of the self. Also notice that this person is dipping water out of the lake and pouring it onto the land. This can represent meditation. Through meditation we become much more in tune with ourselves and we gain much inner growth. The next card is that of the moon. Astrologically, representing the sign Pisces, numerologically the number 18. This card represents the next step from the star, where we are beginning to see the fruits of our meditation, beginning to get much more in tune with ourselves. Notice the dog on one side and the wolf on the other. Here we're dealing with the quality of balance, balancing off the domesticated side with the wild side. So many times in metaphysics we deal with the duality and bringing a balance to 2 points. And that's the quality here. Many times when someone is having difficulty with their dreams, this card will come up. Pisces, being the house of the occult and of mysticism, is also dealing with the quality of this card. So these are all things to take into consideration when you're working with this card. The next card is that of the sun, astrologically representing the sun, numerologically the number 19. This is one of the most beautiful cards in the pack. Here you have a child, totally naked, out enjoying himself, totally and completely free. This is the quality of who we should really be. This is a quality of inner attunement, knowing who we are, and feeling free to express it. Look at the horse. The horse is in gray. We've discussed the quality of gray before, dealing with the balance between good and evil, knowing that things simply are and that we can grow from any experiences that we have. This is the true picture of who we are. When this card comes up, we truly have a picture as to our own identity. The next card is that of Judgment, astrologically representing the planet Pluto, numerologically representing the number 20. This is dealing with the resurrection of the true self. Here you have the people rising up, responding to the call of the angel, representing the superconscious mind. See the gray in the card. Again, the quality of going beyond, looking at things as being good or evil. Rather, an understanding that things simply are and are there for our understanding. The last card of the Major Arcana deck is that of the World, astrologically representing the planet Saturn, numerologically representing the number 21. This is a card of true, total spiritual unfoldment. It's dealing with the completion of a cycle, the preparation to begin a new cycle. This is a card of total liberation and cosmic consciousness. This is truly the best card of the Major Arcana cards to come up. It indicates a great deal of understandings have been achieved. It's the best pat on the back that you can possibly get when a reading comes up. It means that you've learned a lot, you've grown a lot, and you're prepared to move forward into new challenges. And now we'll take a look at the 4 suits of the Minor Arcana cards. We'll start out with Wands. The first one is the Ace of Wands, and each of the aces is dealing with this hand coming out of the clouds. Looks like the hand of God coming in. The quality of an ace is that of new beginnings. Wands, if you'll remember, are dealing with qualities of spirituality and lofty ideas. So this card is dealing with new beginnings in the spiritual realm. The next card is that of the Two of Wands. Literally, it looks as if this man is holding the world in the palm of his hands and looking out. He has all the opportunities of the world, and he's now determining where he wants to go. The Three of Wands, you have a man on the mountaintop, and he's looking down across the water. Perhaps going from the Two of Wands to the Three of Wands, he's determined where he wants to go, and is now determining how he's going to set his course. Remember that 2 is dealing with the quality of duality, can also deal with the quality of receptivity. 3 is dealing with the quality of multiplication, and prosperity, and abundance. So this is a card of looking forward to move forward. Next we have the Four of Wands. 4, a quality of stability. Here a feast is going on. Sometimes this card comes up when a person is having a heavy relationship. This card might indicate that a marriage will occur in the future. Whatever significance you see in this card, realize that that is the truth that is coming forth during that reading. Deal with the qualities that you see in the card. For instance, you might focus your attention upon the people over here to the left, and from that some significance will come forth that will give you an answer to a question in a reading. The next card is that of the Five of Wands. Are these kids playing? Are they fighting? Again, look at the card and see what it means to you. Oftentimes to me, these 5 children represent aspects of the self, and either they're working together or they're working against each other. See what comes up for you when you look at this card. The next card is that of the Six of Wands. It looks as if this man is coming in victorious. He has the laurel wreath around his head and one on his staff. Notice, however, the expression of the man on the left. Is that an expression of apprehension? In one reading, you may get a very good feeling about this card, and another, a feeling of apprehension. Work with the feelings that you get when the card comes up. The next card is that of the Seven of Wands. Is this man leading a group of people? Is he fighting a group of people? Notice his position in reference to the other wands. He has the superior position. Sometimes this card means that there will be difficulties ahead and that you're going to have to work hard or fight for what you want. But recognize that you do have the superior position in the matter. The next card is that of the Eight of Wands. Frequently when this card comes up, I think of these wands as having been scattered along the ground in no particular order, representing the condition in a person's life. And now some order has been brought into their lives. If you'll notice, these staves are all parallel to one another, but there's different spacing between them, and they aren't all in perfect symmetry. What I might tell someone when this card comes up is that they're working on their lives. They're bringing order in, but they still have more things that they can do. The next card is that of the Nine of Wands. If you look at this man, it looks as if he's been in a battle. His head is bandaged, and look at his eyes. It looks as if he's on the lookout for an enemy approaching or some conflict. He has one wand in his hand, and he has 8 wands behind him, as if to protect him. Many times when this card comes up, I feel that a person has gone through a lot of struggles and difficulties, and now they're on the lookout to make sure that the same situation does not occur again. Perhaps now they're better prepared. The next card is that of the Ten of Wands. The tens of each suit have an added intensity that you don't find in the cards numbered 1 through 9. Here you have a man who appears to be loaded down with these 10 wands, with his head lowered and his shoulders slumped as he makes his way through the city. Literally, it looks as if this man is spiritually burdened. However, you might view that this man is on his way home, and therefore that things will work out better for him in the future. Again, it's always important to recognize that each card can mean something different in each reading. You see what it means to you, and recognize that it can change from one reading to another. I actually encourage you to find different meanings for each of the cards, so that you are receptive when different messages come through. The next card is that of the Page of Wands. We're now entering the group of cards referred to as the court cards. In the court cards you have a page, a knight, a queen, and a king. In most cases I interpret the court cards as representing degrees of development. Anytime we enter a new project or start a new endeavor, we go through a cycle of infancy, adolescence, and adulthood. It does not matter how old we are. When we start something new, we know nothing about it. That's the quality of the Page of Wands. Here you have the page, and he has a sense of wonder about this wand in front of him. And truly, when we start something new, we have a great sense of wonder about everything because we have very few understandings about it. The next card is that of the Knight of Wands. Knights tend to represent the quality of adolescence. Sometimes we act like adults, sometimes we act like infants. The adolescent period is the period of testing the information that we're getting, but we are not at all sure about what we're working with, but we're working towards an understanding of that quality. And now let's look at the last two court cards in the suit of wands. We have the Queen and the King. Both of these representing mature aspects. When these cards come up for me, I quite frequently look at the quality represented by a female versus a male. The quality of femininity frequently is that of receptivity. Masculinity, that of assertiveness. So when these cards come up, it's dealing with a spiritual understanding. With the Queen, a receptive understanding. With the King, the assertive understanding, going forth and causing change. Both are necessary. You must have the receptivity and you must have the assertion to be able to cause motion, to cause growth. The next suit is that of the swords. And as I mentioned earlier, swords represent the area of the mental realm. Aces are dealing with new beginnings. Therefore, the Ace of Swords frequently represents the beginning of a new idea. So when you're thinking of all kinds of great new ideas, frequently the Ace of Swords will come up. Next card is that of the Two of Swords. Being a Gemini myself, this card comes up a lot, and I think this comes up a lot for Geminis because they have the duality in the Gemini sign itself. And here you have the two swords crossed, and it literally looks as if this woman is on the horns of dilemma. Frequently, we Geminis have difficulty making decisions. So, often when this card comes up, I think of that quality. There is a beautiful scene behind this woman, and it seems as if she had just make a decision and take the blindfold off and turn around, she could enjoy the beautiful scenery. And that's true for us many times. Sometimes the decision is more important than the direction in which we take. We simply need to make a decision to get going. That can be the quality of this card. The next card is that of the Three of Swords. This card comes up frequently when a person is having difficulty in relationships. It literally looks as if a person has a broken heart. Sometimes the interpretation of this card is that prioritization is necessary, that a person is split because they're trying to do too many things at one time, and they need to prioritize, possibly look at their top 3 priorities. Next we have the Four of Swords. Notice the stained glass window in the top left corner. Notice the sarcophagus. It looks as if this card is beckoning a person to rest. You could look at the swords as being trophies. After having fought many battles, perhaps it's time to rest. The next card is that of the Five of Swords. Perhaps there's been a battle going on here, and now you're coming along to pick up the pieces. Maybe you've helped mediate an end to a struggle between two people. This could also represent an inner battle, inner conflicts, where you're pulled in many different directions, and you finally make a decision and bring about a resolution. Now we have the Six of Swords. Notice on the right-hand side of the boat how rough the waves are, and on the left-hand side how smooth the waves are. This card frequently comes up for me when I'm helping someone who's going through a difficult time. This card has a lot of promise. You have the smooth sailing in front of you. You have the promised land rapidly approaching. Sometimes this card comes up when the client that you are reading for is having a difficult time, and it holds the promise that better times are ahead. But again, it's most important for you to see what this card means to you during the course of the reading that you're giving. The next card is that of the Seven of Swords. It looks as if this man is doing a balancing act. Is this man laying the swords in the ground, or is he picking them up? Perhaps you're putting things in order. This card could also represent that someone is stealing something from you. This could be a warning to be careful, that you may lose something, your house may be broken into, or it could indicate that you're putting things in order. Again, another indication of how important it is to tune in to the meaning of the card when you're giving a reading. Notice the people on the hillside on the bottom left of the card. What are they doing? Are they building something? Are they destroying something? Are they talking? See what meanings come up for you. And now we have the Eight of Swords. Frequently, this card represents to me self-binding limitation. If you will notice, all 8 of the swords are stuck into the ground, and this woman could easily back up against any one of these swords and cut the bindings and remove the blindfold from her eyes. Truly, this card represents that we are limiting our own progress, and that it's time to look within and see how you are causing your own problems. The next card is that of the Nine of Swords. And here it's as if the person is literally having a nightmare. Look at the beautiful quilt on the bed. If you'll look very closely between the roses, you have all the astrological symbols. To me, this offers the promise that things truly are working better than you think, and therefore are needlessly worrying. So if you would simply open your eyes and see what's going on, you will see that the situation is much better than you might think it is. The next card is that of the Ten of Swords. This card often scares people when it comes up. After all, this man is lying face down with 10 swords in his back. But notice that his hand is formed like that of a blessing, and in the background you have light. Perhaps the worst is over. Perhaps you're seeing the dawn after the darkness. Remember, when this card comes up, especially if it comes up in a position indicating the future in a tarot card spread, that you can change the future. If you see problems coming up, then you can take actions that will result in a different outcome. Just about 3 weeks ago, this card came up for me in a spread that I did for myself. I knew that something was wrong, that something was out of balance. I didn't know exactly what it was. I used certain metaphysical techniques to protect myself. 2 days later, I was involved in an automobile accident. And even though it was serious and my car was totaled, there was no serious damage done to me. If I had not taken the time to use the tarot cards, and if I had not listened to what was indicated by the spread, I might have been killed by that accident. Had I been more aware, I might have taken even further steps that would have eliminated the accident altogether. This is the best way to work with the tarot cards, to look at the lines of probability for the future. If you like them, you know you're on the right track. If not, you can start taking actions which will change the future course of your life. Sometimes when this card comes up, it's an indication that the worst truly is over, that you've hit the bottom of the barrel, that there is no direction to move but up. Now let's take a look at all 4 of the court cards. What I said about the suit of wands also holds true for the suit of swords. You have a level of development and awareness. Take a look at each one of these 4 cards carefully. Notice the quality in each one. Here you have a lad who is very eager, Literally, it looks as if he's swinging forth, working with new ideas. Here the knight appears to be charging forth. But look at the apprehension in the face of the horse. Is this person truly moving in the direction that they need to? Look at the Queen of Swords. Look at the determination in her face. Oftentimes when women are having a difficult time, perhaps you feel that you're being trod upon by your boss or your family or outside people, it would be worthwhile to place some attention upon this card. Look at the determination in her face. And by doing so, you can take on the qualities of this card. Now look at the determination in the face of the king. Also notice that his sword is raised. It's not resting on the throne like the queen's. It appears as if he's ready for action. There are many things that can come up when you're looking at the court cards, besides levels of development for an individual. It can represent more determination being needed. It can represent that a person is moving in the wrong direction. Again, virtually an infinite number of possibilities can arise when you're working with the tarot cards. The next suit of the minor arcana is that of cups, dealing with the element water. Cups deal with relationships and emotions. The first card is that of the Ace of Cups. As with all the other aces, this is dealing with new beginnings. The next card is the Two of Cups. Traditionally, this is considered the marriage card, and in your readings, this might be beneficial. But as always, look at the quality of the card itself and tune in on the intuitions that come through. The next card is that of the Three of Cups. Frequently when this card comes up, I think of great abundance. Look at the harvest, and here you have three women toasting each other, and after all, the quality of three is of prosperity and abundance. Now we have the Four of Cups. This is a very interesting card. It appears as if a man is meditating under a tree, looking intently at three cups. Perhaps he's focusing so much attention upon these three cups that he does not see the fourth cup in the air to his right. Often when this card comes up, it indicates to me that there is a great opportunity at hand, perhaps one that's most unusual, and that the client needs to place their attention upon the opportunities abounding, that it may be something very unusual. Keep your eyes open. With the Five of Cups, you have a man who's looking at three cups that have fallen over and the contents is spilled out on the ground. He looks very dejected. Often when this card comes up, I say, you've lost a lot, but at the same time, look around and notice what you still have. For in this card, the man merely needs to turn around and he'll see that the two cups are still standing. You still have something to work from. Focus your attention upon what you have and what you want, not on what you have lost. The Six of Cups is a wonderful card. It looks like there are two little hobbits. And here this fine little gentleman is giving a flower in a cup to perhaps his girlfriend, perhaps his wife. I get such strong feelings with this card, a great feeling of love. However, at one time a friend was giving a reading to someone. This card came up, and he sensed that the woman was being used, that it was an illusion of love. And it was true, for she was going through a divorce, and her husband did not want her to leave, and was suddenly being very, very nice to her, but he truly did not love her. The Seven of Cups is frequently the card of illusion, things are not always as they appear to be. But as with all the other cards, look at this one closely when it comes up in a reading. There are many images to work with. See what comes up for you. The next card is the Eight of Cups. This is a card that has come up for me frequently. A lot of times we have set up an organization for ourselves. We have gained a lot of understandings in one area, and it's time to move on. With the 8 cups so symmetrically placed, it looks as if this man has gained a great deal of understandings putting these cups together. And now it's time for him to move on. Look at the rock in front of him. Is that a cave? Metaphysically, caves can represent experiences dealing with the inner levels of mind. And now we come to the 9 of Cups. Traditionally, this is considered the wish fulfillment card. But again, take a close look at it and tune in to the feelings and impressions that come forth. Will this man have a difficult time making a decision? Perhaps he needs to select one of 9 paths. It looks as if each of these cups is equidistant from him. Look and see what this card means to you when you get it in a reading. And now the 10 of Cups. This is a beautiful card. It looks like a setting for the perfect home and family. You have husband and wife together, the children playing, the little red farmhouse in the background, and the stream flowing through the property, and the rainbow made up of the cups. Is this truth or is it illusion? Sometimes we set our goals so high that there's no way we can reach them, and are therefore disappointed when we don't get them. So again, even with this card, there are many meanings possible. And now let's take a look at the 4 court cards. Now let's take a look at the Page of Cups. Look at this man closely. He is intently gazing at a fish in a cup. Is this man too inquisitive? Or does he have just the right amount of inquisitiveness? Look at the Knight of Cups. There's something unique about this knight in comparison with the others. He has wings on his helmet and also on his feet. A lot of times when this card comes up, I get the feeling that there is a message coming. Why? Because it looks like the wings of Mercury. The Queen of Cups. Look at her level of concentration. When you're working with this card, that may be a significant point. Remember the receptivity that's inherent in the feminine aspect. And now the King of Cups. Notice what a small space his throne is located on. You have the fish jumping out of the water, and there's a red boat on the right-hand side of the card. Again, along with the quality of him being a mature aspect, these symbols may come up and may be significant in a reading that you're giving. And now for the last suit of the minor arcana, that of Pentacles. As I mentioned earlier, Pentacles deal with the element of earth and deal with matters of money, home, possessions, all the things of the earthly frame. The first card in the suit of Pentacles is that of the Ace. As with all the other aces, this one too represents a new beginning. When this card comes up, it may indicate that the person is coming into money, perhaps they're moving into a new home, perhaps they're starting a new job. The next card is that of the Two of Pentacles. Literally, it looks as if this man is trying to balance off two different aspects. Look at the waves in the background and the ships being tossed around. Perhaps there's a lot of turmoil because of the indecision. Perhaps the man is trying to determine which of two jobs he's going to take. Sometimes when someone is involved in an affair, this card will come up. The next card is that of the Three of Pentacles. Remember that the quality of the number 3 is abundance, of prosperity. Look at the wardrobes of these people. Don't they look as if they are prosperous? Many times when this card comes up, I get the feeling that someone is entering a new job, dealing with professional activities. I get the feeling of a master builder or a master craftsman with this card. And now the Four of Pentacles. Looks as if this man is literally holding on tight to his money. Holding on to what is rightfully his. And now the Five of Pentacles. Here you have the poor beggars out in the snow. At the same time, notice that in the stained glass window you have the Five Pentacles and the light coming from the inside. Sometimes this card comes up when people are going through difficult times. Sometimes this card comes up when a person has dedicated their life to helping those who are needy. And now we have the Six of Pentacles. Obviously, there's a very wealthy man who is holding the scales of justice. He's working with equity. Now, you could say that in a reading, this card could be referring to someone who is helping others, or perhaps someone who needs help. Again, there are many images that could come up, many interpretations that could come up when you're giving a reading. And now the Seven of Pentacles. Here it looks as if a man has planted good seeds, and he's now watching them come to harvest. Sometimes when this card comes up, it's good to remind your client that they planted good seeds, and it's time to be patient, for when the time is right, they will be able to reap the rewards of their good actions. With the Eight of Pentacles, it literally looks as if this man is making money. Notice that each one of these pentacles is just a little bit different. Perhaps the person who comes to you for a reading has many different interests, many different hobbies. All these interpretations should be correct when this card comes up. And now the Nine of Pentacles. Here you have a woman of great abundance. The long flowing gown, the grapes surrounding her, the falcon on her hand. Perhaps this means that the client who has come to you for a reading has done very, very well. They've made good money. Remember that 9 is dealing with the quality of completion. Pentacles dealing with money and the material things. So look at how the 9 and the Pentacles interact together in this card. And now the Ten of Pentacles. It looks as if this man has achieved great abundance. He has achieved old age and wisdom. Look at his white hair. Perhaps with him are his son and daughter-in-law. And look at the dogs and the little child. There are great symbols throughout this card. Perhaps in the background that is his house with the gateway leading to it. This card could represent tremendous abundance, tremendous wealth. It could also mean that somebody is squandering their abundance, or that they aren't using it to help others. And now let's take a look at the 4 court cards in the suit of Pentacles. This time I want you to look and see what you see in each of these cards. And now, a little bit more information about the court cards. All the interpretations that I've given so far about the court cards are dealing with internal aspects. Sometimes the court cards represent other people. If a page comes up, frequently it represents a child. The knight can represent a teenager. The queen and the king represent adults. With either the page or the knight, the person could be male or female, and usually, and I emphasize this, usually, a female is represented by the queen and a male is represented by the king. This, however, is not always the case. If a woman is being very assertive at a time, the king might come up to represent her. The same can also be true of a man who is being particularly receptive. Another thing that can be told about the court cards is the astrological sign of an individual or their physical description. For instance, when working with wands, since wands represent fire signs, a person could be an Aries, a Leo, or a Sagittarius. Or they could have sandy or reddish hair. Moving on to the suit of swords, that's dealing with the element of air, and therefore the air signs. Geminis, Libras, and Aquarians are represented by the air signs. Or a person could have brown hair and light-colored eyes. Moving to the suit of cups, that's dealing with the element of water. Astrologically, the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Cups could also indicate that a person has blonde hair and light-colored eyes. The suit of Pentacles is dealing with the element of earth. The earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. A person could be represented by a pentacle if they have dark or white hair, have dark-colored eyes, and this suit also includes blacks or foreigners. Again, these are rules of thumb. Let me give you a for instance. My astrological sign is Gemini, which means that I would be represented at times by the King of Swords. At the same time, I have dark hair and dark-colored eyes, which means I could also be represented by the King of Pentacles. As you see, you must again go back to the basic understanding of the information that's coming through. These are only rules of thumb, and you must determine the meaning of any court card when it comes up. And now to discuss tarot card spreads. There are many, many different kinds of spreads that you can use. I personally use the Celtic cross pattern. I consider it to be a very simple spread. It works very well for me. You can use any one of the traditional spreads, or you can make up your own spread. It doesn't matter. Remember, you are working with your subconscious mind. The key is that you determine what kind of spread you're going to use before you start working with the cards. Some people feel uncomfortable letting others handle their cards. If so, then you go ahead and shuffle your cards and select the cards that you wish to use. Otherwise, you can let someone else shuffle the deck and select the cards, however many you need for the spread. Again, the key is you. What do you feel comfortable with? Sometimes I let other people shuffle my cards. Sometimes I feel that it's best to go ahead and shuffle them myself and select the cards that I feel need to be used for the tarot card reading. And now I want to give you an example tarot card spread. What I'll do is ask the question of the tarot cards, what do you as a beginning tarot card student need to know at this time? Recognizing that this reading is for many, many different people, so it will be very, very general. Also, remember that I'll be working with my intuition in alignment with my subconscious mind to select the right cards and to be able to fully interpret the meaning of each card in each position and to gather an overall picture from the spread. You'll see how I do this. Take a look over my shoulder. In preparation for a reading, it's most important to become very still and quiet. Still the mind and quiet the body. Quite frequently, I say a prayer that the intuition will come through and that I will give the most accurate reading that I possibly can. At this time, if you're working with a client, you want them to focus their attention upon their question. They can either ask for a general reading or for a specific reading. Specific reading dealing with a specific question. We're doing a specific reading. And now, I'm going to take a minute or two and focus my attention upon the question. Knowing that the question of what information needs to be given to you at this time as a beginning tarot card student, knowing that that question will be answered. Now I feel as if I've shuffled the cards enough. I spread them out, start selecting the cards. The Celtic cards spread, you take 10 cards. Sometimes at this time, after I've selected the 10 cards, I will select another 2 or 3 to give additional meaning to the spread. I do this especially if someone else has selected the 10 cards. The method that I use in tarot card reading is to use all of the cards face up. Some people use them face up and inverted. Determine what the best system is for you and use it. I've just counted backwards through the cards because the very first card that I selected was at the bottom of the stack. I wanted to bring it to the top. At this time, you sit back, look at the spread, and see what impressions come up. This is the card in the first position. In a general reading, it will give you indications as to what the reading is referring to. In a specific reading, as in this, it elaborates. The Nine of Pentacles, that's a quality of abundance. Through working with the tarot cards, you're going to gain great abundance. You will become much more in tune with yourself. The second card is called the Crossing card. This can be crossing for better or for worse. In this case, I feel that it's crossing for better. Knight's dealing with a quality of evolution and evolvement, especially looking at the card in the 5th position. I realize that this has additional significance. At this time, you have many more understandings than you had in the past. Since I'm working at discussing one card at a time, this is going to be a little disjointed, but I'll come back and put it all together. So perhaps it's best if I leave the full meaning of this card until I get over here to the Page of Pentacles. The card in the 3rd position is dealing with the best that can come to pass from this situation. The Hierophant is dealing with the inner knowing, the inner truth. By working with the tarot cards, you can come to know yourself and unlock the keys to the subconscious mind and the superconscious mind, developing that great inner attunement. The card in the 4th position is dealing with understandings that you have at this time that you can use. This is a card of great abundance and prosperity, of joy and happiness. These are qualities that you can use. For to fully understand the tarot, to fully work with it, you must be open-minded, you must be joyous, and allow the intuition to come forth. Now the card in the 5th position. This is dealing with the past. The Page of Pentacles. Pages representing new beginnings. Now I'll tie this into the 2nd card. You have the Knight of Pentacles. Here you're dealing with a period of growth, growing from that point of infancy to the point of adolescence. Now let's look at the card in the future position. This is the 6th card. This is a card of service. By using the tarot cards, you will be able to help others. People are having very difficult times, represented by the rough waters. You will be able to help them to understand how they have created the situations that they're in. And by the new awarenesses that they receive, they will be able to move forward and be much happier. The card in this position is dealing with your attitudes. Remember, I said that there's something special about this Knight because of the wings. Represents messages. You wish to help others, and by using the tarot cards, you will be able to provide messages which will help others. The card in this position is dealing with your home and environment. You're going to receive a lot of support from those people around you. They want to see you succeed. They want to help you. This card is dealing with alignment, working with the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the superconscious mind. The card in this position is dealing with hopes and fears. And this is a warning to you. Do not focus your attention upon your fears. You will be able to succeed in your endeavor. The way that mind works is it's important to place your attention upon what you want. If you place your attention upon your desires, you will manifest them. If you place your attention upon your fears, you will also manifest them. You might at this time have fears that you will not be able to know how to read the tarot cards. Simply focus your attention upon your desire. And when you start giving readings, be relaxed. Enjoy yourself. Tell people that you're just starting out and that you might not be real good, and that will take the pressure off of you. And by doing that, the information will be able to flow from the subconscious mind, and you may give a great reading. And now the outcome card. Here we have the Queen of Cups. This woman is looking intently at this cup. She has deep concentration. The quality that I see here is that by working with the tarot cards, you will be able to greatly enhance your ability to concentrate, and by doing that, you will be able to bring the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious minds in harmony and evolve and grow. This is a tremendous reading, and this shows the potential of what you can achieve by working with the tarot cards, by giving yourself readings and by giving others readings. All right, now you know how to read the tarot cards. Now you can go out and read for yourself, read for other people, and you will be amazed at things that you will learn about yourself. You'll be able to help others, you'll be able to help yourself, and at the same time you'll have a great opportunity to grow. And by working with the tarot cards, you will develop to a greater degree your extrasensory perception, your intuition. You'll be able to work with a lot of other psychic tools. You have just scratched the surface on what you can do. So congratulations. Go out, have a great time, and enjoy yourself. Most of all, have a lot of fun, because working with the tarot can be great fun. This is the first video cassette that Gordon and Miller Creative Productions Incorporated has produced. We'd love to hear from you. Please give us some feedback about this video cassette, and also let us know what metaphysical and non-metaphysical video cassettes you would like to see. At the end of this video cassette, you will see our address and telephone number. We'd love to hear from you. Until the next video cassette, good luck and good reading.